Hey guys, it's Friday, March 24th, and this is Newswave. Let's get into our first bit of news. We actually have word now what our first PS4 games will be on PlayStation Now. Remember how we talked about this before, where PlayStation Now is going to bring PS4 games to people who don't have PS4s necessarily, whether you own a PC or you have maybe a smart TV that runs PlayStation Now, although they may have been discontinued by now, but if you have a PC, you can play PS4 games. Right now, they've released a few exclusives. It's two to be exact. It's Knack, and then it's Shadowfall, Killzone Shadowfall. So there's only two that are coming out right now. And I think we were all pretty much under the assumption that it would be two games from the first year. In this case, it was pretty much two games from launch. So it's not going to be new PS4 games. You're not going to see like Horizon Zero Dawn or Neo come out. It's going to be older ones. Then they'll probably work through the first year, then the second year as we go forward. And by the time Horizon Zero Dawn and Neo come out on PlayStation Now, we'll probably be looking at PlayStation 5 by then. So it's going to be a little while before you see anything like that. But if you want to try out Knack or Killzone or probably any of the other ones coming out, you can try it on PlayStation Now without a PS4, just on your computer. I do think something like an Infamous would actually really help PlayStation Now, and that's coming up soon actually. That didn't come out too long after the first couple months of the PlayStation's lifespan, so I would see Infamous being the next big one, and I think that would actually really help their service. So look for something like that coming out in the next couple months. And we talked about JonTron pretty recently on Newswave. Well, it looks like there's a little more to the story now. Yooka-Laylee, the game we're all looking forward to, he actually did voice work in it, and apparently Playtonic did not like what he said, so they have now pulled him from his voice acting duties on the game. And this was in an interview with GamesIndustry.biz. They had a full statement that they released to them, and they said, "We recently became aware of comments made by voice artist JonTron after development on Yooka-Laylee had been completed. In light of his recent personal viewpoints, we have made the decision to remove JonTron's inclusion in the game via a forthcoming content update." Which is interesting. That means that they are going to just remove it, I guess, before the game comes out in one of their content updates where they put out beforehand. And it's going to be interesting to see that. It's kind of a shame because overall it is more his opinion, but it got him into hot water with a lot of gamers and people out there in general. So he's very controversial now. And I understand as a company who is trying to stay politically correct and appeal to everyone, why you would remove somebody who is causing some serious clashing inside the gaming community. And JonTron seems to understand that as well, because on his Twitter he wrote, "Unfortunate to see Playtonic remove me from Yooka-Laylee, but I understand their decision. I wish them the best with their launch." Again, he understands his viewpoints or his opinions are creating controversy, and a smaller company like Playtonic that is trying to put out a Yooka-Laylee game that has probably taken up quite a bit of money but was funded by Kickstarter. It's a tough situation. They don't want somebody like that to affect their sales or their image of their entire company. And I understand why they would do that from a business perspective, but it's kind of unfortunate overall. He's a large Banjo-Kazooie fan. He's made that apparent constantly. So it's one of those things. He at least understands. Playtonic understands, seems amicable, so they're just going to move on without him voicing anyone in the game. And today, Friday, Splatoon 2 test fire starts. So if you're looking for another game to play on your Switch, you can go download it and play it. It's going to be free for anyone to try. It is a test fire, so it's more like an open beta, really. They're going to stress the servers and see how everything does, and then that way they can have their servers ready for launch day. And we actually have all of our schedules right here. You're going to see them now. You'll see today we have two times. These are Eastern times, by the way. My time, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, and then 11 to midnight tonight. Tomorrow, Saturday, 7 to 8 in the morning, 3 to 4 in the afternoon, and then 11 to midnight later on that night. And then Sunday they're going to wrap it up early in the morning, 7 to 8 a.m. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're a fan of Splatoon, obviously you're going to have a good time. If you've never played Splatoon, might be a good time to try it out. I did not play a lot of Splatoon on the Wii U, but I would like to try the new one on the Switch just because it looks like a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of like shooters, and this kind of looks obviously like a shooter that Nintendo has put out, and it's very popular in Japan. Now, if they can get Splatoon 2 out sooner than later, I think the Switch will do even better than it already has in Japan, where you can't find one. You won't be able to find one the rest of the year if Splatoon 2 is on that system because it's that popular in Japan. That, coupled with the possibility of Monster Hunter and then Pokemon showing up, you have yourself pretty much a home run for the next 2 years. And real quick, people were asking me how this Cemu emulator for the Wii U was doing so well and evolving so quickly. Well, the creators of it have some backing, and not just like support and from friends and family and stuff. They have a Patreon that is now eclipsing $23,000 a month, which means they can just focus on this thing full time. They don't need to go to work. They can just do this. They can use money to hire out to people who can help program different parts, optimize different parts of the emulator, and it's getting to a point where they are becoming probably profitable over time with that Patreon if not spending all the money. And it starts to get a little iffy then, because while it is crowdsourced and crowdfunded, they are technically now paying people outright to do stuff for this emulator, and that is where it becomes interesting, because you may remember this, there was an emulator that was sold commercially called Bleemcast for the Dreamcast, and it actually emulated PS1 games for the Dreamcast better than what the PS1 game would play on the PS1 system. And they got into hot water with Sony, and while Sony could not technically do anything to them, they did run them dry with lawsuits to where eventually Bleemcast just went out of business. They only had like 3 discs. I know the most popular one was like Metal Gear Solid, and that ran beautifully on the Dreamcast with upscaled visuals and anti-aliasing and everything. But it's a little concerning, because now Nintendo is probably really looking at this thing as being kind of a monetary investment by these people. And once money gets involved with anything, then it becomes interesting, and then a company may look at it like Nintendo might and say, we might need to shut these guys down because they actually are making money from emulating our product. But it's crowdfunded. That's where it gets a gray area. These people are just donating to them to complete this task. We'll see what happens. I have to imagine, though, they are big time on Nintendo's radar right now, and we'll have to see when that cease and desist gets sent. There's a really cool trend going on in games, specifically around the Switch. A lot of indie developers seem to be wanting to put out physical copies on the Switch, which is weird because another part of news, places are still charging $10 more for their copy of the game. The biggest one recently is Minecraft Story Mode, that is going to release at $39.99 rather than $29.99 on most systems. This is on Best Buy's site, where it is being sold for $10 more right now. And that's just more for a pre-order, but that shows us that, mixed with Rhyme, that some of the other companies want to spend a little more money, I guess, to put it on a physical cartridge, but there are other companies like this one I'm about to show you that say it's not going to cost any more to put it on a cartridge. And this is from FDG Entertainment. They want to put out Monster Boy on the Switch as a physical copy. And the way they're kind of testing the waters, they're having you go on Twitter, which if you have a Twitter, go on there and vote for this if you want that physical copy. They want you to like it so that you can vote. And what they're going to do is, I guess if they get enough, they're going to release it as a physical copy. And let me tell you, this game first off looks really cool, but the box art that they're suggesting looks awesome. I really like the box art that we're seeing for these Switch games. The Secret of Mana collection looks great, and now this one looks awesome too. So I'm liking it. It almost looks like throwbacks to the old days. Anyway, it's kind of it's an interesting game. It's a really cool 2D action-adventure style game that has some cool elements where you can turn into different monsters as you gain abilities to do that. And the art style looks really good. It looks fun. And I really want this as a physical copy, mostly because indie developers, from what I can see, want to put a little extra into their physical copies. We saw that with Binding of Isaac, where it came with a full manual, stickers, reverse cover art. There's a lot going on in that package, as opposed to buying, say, Zelda, that has the cart and nothing else in there. So I would like to see what FDG can do with their Monster Boy physical cartridge. So go over there and vote if you want it. Just hit the like button on their tweet. That way we can get this game released physically, hopefully everywhere, not just in Japan. And we had a leak that showed the Destiny 2 poster. A lot of us have been waiting for Destiny 2. A lot of us keep hearing rumors that it is showing up. But now we have actual proof, I guess, that it is coming out, and it's coming out soon. And that is in the way of promotional posters that are going out to stores right now. And people over at Kotaku have now announced, or at least confirmed, that the poster is real and that Destiny 2 will be announced in the next couple days. And the poster was originally announced and shown by an Italian retailer. This was at Lega, and they showed this poster, and it says September 8th at the top, which tells us they have to announce this thing soon. I was thinking E3, and then people over at Kotaku said that the poster is real, and this announcement is coming as soon as today, Friday. So keep an eye out, because Destiny 2 may be teased, may just be shown on YouTube, and we can get on with Destiny 2 finally coming out. I hope it comes out for the computer, because the first one was a lot of fun, but I played it on the Xbox One, and I kept thinking I would rather play it on the PC if possible. Mostly because I do know that probably the online would be free, and there's a couple other reasons, but the big thing is I hope they improve on the story mode from Destiny 1. I think that's the biggest part that a lot of people were frustrated with, is the story. You had to go on a website and then read about the story rather than play the game and learn about the story. Otherwise, I had a lot of fun with it, and I think I'll have fun with Destiny 2 if they just polish the first one and release a better version of it. And we talked about Mad Catz, how they were struggling before, and this was a couple weeks ago where they were having a real hard time, and there was a big concern that they'd be removed from the New York Stock Exchange. Well, that unfortunately is happening. They are being removed from the New York Stock Exchange because they have failed to get their stock prices up. Remember we were reporting before where it was about 15 cents and it was dropping? Well, it hasn't gotten much better. It stayed around there, and at this point they have to remove them from the New York Stock Exchange, so they have been notified and they are not going to appeal it. They are going to leave the New York Stock Exchange, which unfortunately looks like Mad Catz is in some serious trouble. Now, whether you like Mad Catz or not, they have been a part of gaming for a long time. I remember I was buying controllers from them or accessories from back in the PS1 and N64 days, and it's weird to see a company like this drop off. I will say I think they put a lot of their eggs in the Rock Band 4 basket, and it did not work out. Rock Band 4 Guitar Hero Live did not do well. I think at that time when Mad Catz was doing really well was when Rock Band first came out, and it was popular, like really popular, and they were just, it was so good for them then, and then they just kept putting their eggs in that Rock Band basket. It started dropping off and then tanked completely. Rock Band 4 comes out and doesn't do well, and now they're in some trouble. I don't know if they'll recover. Unfortunately, I think at this point it's just a matter of time before we read in the newspaper, well not newspaper, online, that Mad Catz has had to fold. Last bit of news, I just want to leave you guys with this. Toys R Us will be getting more Switches in tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. Make sure you're there as early as possible because these Switches will sell out. They probably only get like 6 or 7 or something like that per store, but if you're still looking for a Switch, it will be at Toys R Us tomorrow. Call ahead now if you're looking for one in your local Toys R Us just to make sure they're getting it, because those things are going to move quickly. That is Saturday the 25th. They should have them. So if you're still looking for one, get a call to your local Toys R Us. Stop by if you need to. Just make sure you're there early tomorrow before they open. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about any of the stuff we talked about today, whether it frustrates you with the whole JonTron thing being removed from Yooka-Laylee. Maybe you're excited for Splatoon 2, or maybe you just voted and you are you're helping to bring Monster Boy to the Switch physically. Let me know what you guys think down below. I will see you next time.